All right, franchise tag. You can see the article on CBSSports.com breaking down the potential franchise tag candidates for all 32 teams. But
you know what the dollar amount is for an offensive lineman getting franchise tagged?
I do.
Fuck me.
It's $25.2 million.
Are you kidding me?
Which is wild. So some things off the top. I'll read through the positions.
That's a USAID package right there.
That's a full country getting support from the USA.
Unbelievable.
That's a West African nations.
And they're talking about giving one to the guy from
package.
the Steelers. More. Oh,
Dan Moore?
Yeah.
Getting
25 million. I saw a list. He's on a list.
Okay. That list, burn it. Here's the numbers.
Yeah.
$41.3 million for a quarterback. That obviously could be Sam Darnold. I don't think so at this point, but we'll see. The weird one is linebackers, $27 million. Because positional designation includes guys like Von Miller, guys of that. The NFL still has it screwed up. So Zach Bond, who realistically could be a great franchise tag candidate.
He's got to be paid like an edge.
But he has to be paid like an edge. So there's zero chance Zach Bond gets franchise tag because that's just outlandish. They do. It's been a thing for a while. Jimmy Graham tried to test it back in the day when he tried to get designated as a wide receiver. We actually helped him out in that negotiation when I was back at PFF with the snaps. But it's stupid. It's easy to figure out. Graham. Just make it happen. Wide receivers, $25.7 million. O-line, $25.2 million. That's if you're a tackle. That's if you're a guard. That's if you're a center. It don't matter. Defensive ends, $24.7 million. Defensive tackle, $23.5 million. Cornerback, $20.4. Safety, $19.6. Tight end, $14.2. Running back, $13.6. That's why running backs, tight ends are your most likely franchise tag candidates because it doesn't kill you. And then kickers, punters, both $6.5 million. So let's roll through. AFC East, Bills, no one. Dolphins, Javon Holland is a potential. There's not a lot that are potential guys, but Javon Holland, for my money, a top 5 safety in the NFL, $19.6 million. The Miami Dolphins are in a weird cap spot where I don't think they'd want $19.6 million on the books. So they're not going to just tag him and do a T. Higgins and just let him ride out. But tag him as a negotiating tool if you can't get a deal done. So he's a candidate.
Trying to get the deal done.
Yes.
Because he's young. He's a stud.
So good. He's so young, too, still. I believe he's only 25 years old, hitting free agency here, which came out early. He's 24 years old, about to turn 25 in March.
I was 24 my rookie year, dude.
So, yeah.
Mormon mission.
A few years off to be.
A lot of white shirts.
I made you convert out there doing the Mormon mission. You get it, anyone?
I had to learn English.
All right. But, yeah, he's... With the Dolphins, though, this is going to be a tumultuous offseason, obviously, with the Tyreek Hill stuff, with their cap situation being right up against it. A lot of weird deals on the books there that they have. They're $5.4 million over the cap as it stands right now.
So much money into Tua. And the big question mark with Tua all the time is obviously that health.
Yes.
And
then you have a quarterback who legitimately could torpedo your season on your run-of-the-mill scramble. So
you go to your grandma's house and she's got that chest of drawers with the china in it, the fine china in it, but it's behind like 3 panes of glass and a set of doors. They got to keep Tua back there because he's that valuable. But at the same time, one nick and
your dog bounces off the cabinet and all of a sudden china's going down.
That's not good.
But I do think for the Dolphins, you got to keep Javon Holland. Secondary was great last year. That's the strength of your team.
Can you believe they had Vic Fangio and they,
It didn't work out, though. I mean, it wasn't a good year for that Dolphins defense. They didn't have great talent, but
they didn't buy in like the guys in Philly.
It works. It works very well, the simplistic scheme, when you have the most talented defense in the NFL. Yes. Newsflash. All right, but that's a candidate there. New York Jets. DJ Reed is in this article as a candidate. And he's awesome. Don't get it twisted. He's 28 years old, though. This isn't his first time hitting. Usually it's very rare to get a franchise tag after your second contract, right? Yes. It's usually going from your rookie deal into your second contract.
Big one.
Because
delay of game on the finances.
Yes, because, that's when you're going to sign your biggest deal. And so that's when it is your most effective saving opportunity. But as I said earlier, $20.4 million for a cornerback. DJ Reed at 28 years old, being a somewhat undersized cornerback, I don't think he's even getting $20 a year on the open market should he hit free agency. Now, he's going to be in demand. He was awesome last year. And you would love to keep him if you're the New York Jets. But odds are he's going to be elsewhere, and odds are he's going to sign a deal probably a little under that. I'd say somewhere in the neighborhood of like 3 years at around 18 mil a year, 17 mil a year.
Great.
But I doubt he gets franchise tagged for the New York Jets. Jamian Sherwood would be a candidate for the franchise tag. I think they'd love to have him back, linebacker. But again, as I said off the top, you will not see a linebacker, off-ball linebacker franchise tagged anytime soon. Just flat out isn't going to happen. No one's going to pay $27 million for an off-ball linebacker right now. So New York Jets, we shall see. Rest of the AFC East, New England Patriots, not really any good candidates there. All right, AFC North, where there's a much more interesting slate here. Ronnie Stanley.
Big. Yeah, the Ronnie Stanley one's big because he's been a part of that culture. He's been a part of that program for so long. He's a homegrown Baltimore Raven in terms of, they brought him into this league. Mm-hmm. Him and Lamar Jackson probably have a really unique relationship, and you don't want to change anything for Lamar Jackson. You want it to roll out the same way that he picked up the ball at the end of the season. And that's what Ronnie Stanley at the left tackle position. So I think that you have to do what you got to do. You've already got your quarterback there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You've got the expensive pieces taken care of. Go lock down your left tackle.
Yes. I obviously, you'd love to get him back, right? And I think if they did use the franchise tag on him, it would be as another negotiating tool. This isn't a team that's going to let him play on the franchise tag. That being said, there's not a lot of tackles in free agency. If he were to hit the open market,
he would get paid.
He would get paid. It's him. It's Cam Robinson. It's Alaric Jackson. And that's it, really. I mean, you said Dan Moore. I don't think Dan Moore is going to come in.
I said that somebody said.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying, but that's another name out there. It's not a name that I'd pay to be my starting left tackle.
I just saw that number, $25 million on the franchise for offensive lineman, center, guard, or tackle. And then I saw Dan Moore and I said, I got to get my helmet on, dude.
Right.
I got to duct tape you to my back and put my helmet on. We can play a little sideboard football.
Stanley helped himself out this year, obviously, by being fully healthy because the 3 years prior, he missed a ton of snaps. 4 years prior, he missed a ton of snaps. The guy could not stay healthy. Finally did, hitting into free agency. He's 31 years old. I again think the franchise tag at $25.2 million is rich for him, but I bet he'll get something in the neighborhood of if he hits open market with the desperation around the league and with the way offensive tackles are playing into 36, 37.
Yep.
3 years, 60. I don't think is out of the.
Good for you, Ronnie.
Is out of the question
Harry,
with the guy that can.
Harry, he stand disciple.
He stand product. Oh, dude, that 2015 Notre Dame offensive line.
Zach Martin.
Take a step back
Quentin
for a second.
Nelson,
No, it wasn't
Stanley.
Zach Martin, but it was.
Oh, Zach Martin was 13.
Yeah, he had come out right before, but it was Stanley, Nelson, McGlinchey, and Nick Martin, Zach Martin's brother.
Martin, the center?
Center, yeah. That was a talented offensive line. And then the right guard actually ended up going into politics. He quit football altogether and he would have been drafted late rounds, but he just was done, went into politics. So
he'll be working a lot longer than I will.
I don't think they franchise, but they could transition tag Ronnie Stanley because the Ravens, obviously they did that with Lamar Jackson. It's instead of the average of the top 5 at the position, it would cost you the average of the top 10 at the position. So it's a little cheaper, but it allows the player, Ronnie Stanley in this case, to negotiate with every team around the NFL. You remember when Lamar did that and then no one ends up offering him. It was people are oh, should we offer him? Shouldn't we? No one ended up really backing up the truck the Ravens agreeing on a deal. But basically anyone can offer you a deal. If you accept that deal, the team, in this case, the Baltimore Ravens, your original team, gets the right of refusal. They can accept that deal if they want to as well. But what it opens you up to is what's used to be called the poison pill. It's not technically a poison pill because you're basically they took out all the language that used to be really. So I think the original one was Steve Hutchinson, guard. I believe it was either going from the Seahawks to the Vikings or vice versa. I can't remember the exact details, but they put in the contract when they did that originally that he had to live 8 months out of the year in Seattle or wherever it was. They put that the Vikings literally could not match it because he wasn't able to do some certain terms. Yeah. But you can do it from a cap perspective. You can load it really highly 1 year and maybe not another year that it doesn't financially make sense for the Ravens to do it. So it opens you up to the guy leaving. You get picks in return if the guy does leave.
Transition.
But it's the transition tag.
And it's way less used.
Way less used. Because obviously, like it opens you up to actually losing that player at a higher, in a riskier way. So,
but Ronnie you get the average of the top 10.
Average of the top 5. Yes. Pittsburgh Steelers, no real candidates. Bengals, T. Higgins, seems very likely they're going to tag him again. So I mentioned that off the top, wide receivers, $25.7 million. But if you're tagged back-to-back years, you get 120% of the previous tag. So it would be $26.2 million for T. Higgins.
Man, oh man. I'm happy for all these guys, man.
Which if he hit free agency, he is getting a lot more than that.
Well, I mean, he is the man.
Yeah.
He is the man to be desired. And if it's not Cincinnati, where do you think would be somewhere that he'd end up? Because I've got a team in my mind where T. Higgins could go.
I love 2 teams. New England Patriots, Carolina Panthers. Both just desperately need a guy like him. And so...
What about Washington Commanders?
Commanders would be fun. Now, he's not bad after the catch, but he's not like the yak guy that they really, I think, would need in that offense or would utilize, but they have the cash to play with. So they'd be in the market for a guy like him.
And a fantastic complement to what they already have.
And it's like a deep ball vertical guy on the outside. I mean, he is good.
Because you can have guys on both sides of the field taking the top off the defense. Pick your poison. That safety's going to always be wrong.
Yeah. So and if you look at the wide receiver class, it's slim pickings. There may not be another starter, like a number 1 or a number 2 in the entire wide receiver class hitting free agency. We thought Deontay Johnson would be. Deontay Johnson's all of a sudden persona non grata across the NFL. I don't think anyone wants that guy on their team. So that's it. It's T.
What a strange turn of events it was for Deontay Johnson.
Oh, dude. I've heard some things that he may not go anywhere. Like no one might sign him. The guy's unbelievably talented. He may not play football next year, and he's 29 years old.
That's insanity.
All right, Browns, no real potential candidates. Let's get the AFC South. In this article, it says the Texans, Stephon Diggs. I'm not going to call out the writer of this article, but they're not going to freaking franchise Stephon Diggs.
No.
After coming off an ACL, it ain't going to happen.
Stephon Diggs is going to be on the Baltimore Ravens.
That he feels like.
He just feels like a Raven
at this point. Colts, no one. Jags, no one. Titans, no one. Let's get to the AFC West, where Trey Smith
Chiefs
and the Kansas City Chiefs, they don't have the space.
They can't do it.
They can't afford to pay Trey Smith $25 million next year. They can't be on the hook. So the thing is, with this, there's always the potential that the bluff could be called, and you need to fit $25.2 million on your cap this year. Why you sign guys to extensions and try to avoid the franchise tag is because then you could put the salary cap hit to this year down to like $10 million if you want to, by pushing out with bonus, adding salary to later years. But if you do the franchise tag, there's always the potential that he signs it, you don't get a deal done, and that 25.2 has to sit on the cap this year, which is a really big number for an offensive lineman. So not going to happen.
Great player,
but unfortunately, they're just going to have to let him walk and probably get the 3rd round compensatory pick in return. Chargers, no one. Broncos, no one. Raiders, no one. Let's get to the NFC East. Eagles. Zach Bonds mentioned the article, as I said earlier.
What is Khalil Mack's situation in Los Angeles?
He's hitting free agency. He is also old as balls. He's 50.
He had a resurgence this past year.
He did.
He's a guy who goes run and pass.
He's 33 years old.
He's not human. So we're using human years. It's like trying to attribute human years to a dog.
This is true. He's like inverse dog years.
Yeah.
The guy's really 26 physically.
Like nurse shark years.
I'm not.
Nurse sharks live to be like 1,000 years old or something like that. The Icelandic.
Are we still like taking care of one of a few $100 million a year?
$20 million a year on keeping sharks alive.
Well,
all you got to do is give Khalil Mack.
Chargers are going to spend $20 million a year.
He's going to go out there and get 10 sacks and play the run too. I'm just saying.
At his age, guys just don't get paid. Yeah. Unfortunately, 33 years old. I mean,
you get back to Chicago.
Like I'm saying, they don't get paid. I would kill for whatever contract he's going to get, right? But you don't get the top of the market deals, unfortunately. Okay, I'm just saying. So I bet he ends up somewhere in the neighborhood of, if I had to guess, like a 15.
I bet Jim Harbaugh loves him.
2 years 30, 2 years 40, maybe something in that range for Khalil Mack, but not near the $24.7 million for the franchise tag at that position.